at 5:32 a.m. Item number two,
PM.
public comment. Do we have anyone in the public with a hand raised, Raquel?
No, we do not.
Item number three, approval of prior minutes, October 7th, 2024. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I read them. I'll make a motion that we accept them.
Okay, have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, George. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to new business. Tim, you're up.
All right, Tecton update. So the design team is still responding to RFIs, reviewing submittals, PCOs, and issuing field reports. Over the past 2 weeks, we have responded to 18 RFIs, 51 submittals, 9 ATPs, and we have reviewed and approved application for payment 7. We've attended 6 project meetings and made 1 site visit. Tecton has also been working on the custom interior graphics for the project, and we have distributed our first pass to the working group. We've received some good feedback from the group, and with their assistance, we are actively incorporating that feedback and anticipate sending out a second pass to the group in the next week or so. Regarding FF&E, IT, and Playscapes, we're actively meeting with the appropriate parties to get things locked down, and we will work with Colliers to show plan and budget updates over the next 4 to 6 weeks for a presumptive PCR in December or January of next year. And that's it.
Short and sweet, like it, Tim. Good job. Moving on to the CM.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So really our kind of mantra for the last couple weeks and continuing is just to be pedal down and put as much progress in place as we can and take advantage of the weather. So I'm not going to show the time lapse this time, but basically what you can see here and what we're looking at is that we have basically the roof substantially complete. This is as of Friday. And you can see that everything white here is TPO roof. It's installed over the whole entire building, including the pop-up. This section here is the courtyard. So this is Mungertown Road over on this side to the right of the screen for orientation. And you can see this is huge for us. It basically kind of gets us to one insulation. So as we start actually getting cooler, we have some roof insulation and weather protection. So it'll allow us to continue with interior rough out, and it'll help trap temporary heat. Couple other little highlights is this pile here, and everything in the back here is screened topsoil. So this area in the back is actually installed screened topsoil. So what we're looking to try to do is get some plantings and seed down this fall in this area. It probably will almost be a dormant seeding at this point, but at least we'll get seed down. So hopefully this has a better chance of popping right as the start of spring. And gives us a little more time to try to get this set up for the start of school. It gives us a little extra grow season to try to get this fully established. As you're looking here, it's kind of hard to see, and you'll see much better progress at the next building committee. But what this is here, this activity here, is the actual brick starting on the exterior of the building. The blue is the AWB, the silver portion here, either windows or insulation. And then below this scaffolding is where the actual brick is being installed. So that's why this is where we started on this north area A. We're going to continue to wrap around A, working to the west and then the south. And what we'll end up doing is actually putting a second crew that's going to start on the north of B and work around as well. So we'll actually have 2 crews working and try to get this brick substantially complete in December. I'm going to jump to, I just wanted to show you this angle here. So again, this is Mungertown Road here. We just flipped, walked over to kind of where my construction trailer is. And from this angle, you can see we've started the canopy steel installation. So this is going to be, I believe, basically the main entrance into M01 and by the main office. So we're starting this steel erection. And then you can see the difference where we have AWB on the exterior of the building versus this purple board, which is missing the air water barrier at that time. And as I spin, just here you can see how we started to get kind of the rough establishment of the parking lot on the south end at the lower area. So we were doing drainage before, and now we're sort of getting this based out. And our next step will kind of be to try to start putting in curbs and sight light poles down in this area as well. So over the next couple weeks. And then finally, I'll try to wrap this up, but see if I can move this. So then just to share with you an interior shot. So we're in the mechanical room. So this is main level, looking down into where the cafeteria is. And really the big item to note here is this dark gray. That's actually the last slab placement that we had to do, the last major slab placement. And this was done on Friday. So if I spin, we now have the entire lower level B slab complete. So this has the curing plastic over it. So that's why it looks a little funky. And you see like kind of the wrinkles. That's a plastic sheathing that's put on to cure the slab. But the key takeaway is that all lower level B slab is complete. And then the other nice thing to note about this is you can see we actually started framing main level B. So we basically wrapped started in main level A, worked our way in the main level B, and then once we can, we'll be jumping down to this lower level B as well. Outside of the pictures, the only other two kind of items to note that's worth mentioning is that the water main work from Daniel Hand High School over to the project that has now been pressure tested and passed the pressure testing. So it's been passed with Connecticut Water. They're now in the process of chlorinating that line. So hopefully by the end of October, it takes a little time with the chlorination. They have to do it in a couple steps because of the length of the pipe, the run. But by the end of October, we should have that line chlorinated and 100% passed and accepted by Connecticut Water. And then just the last little update the building committee may appreciate is tomorrow we have a couple of students from Daniel, 15, I think, students from Daniel Hand High School coming over to meet with our crew for about an hour and a half right around lunchtime. We're going to introduce them to a couple of the foremen and supervisors from the different trade groups on site. And then we'll give them a little quick overview of the project and take them for a tour and then buy them pizza for lunch and see if they have any questions for us. So that's one of the little steps we take for community engagement and to help give back to the school and the board of the public schools as we're doing this project and help foster them continuing education or their interest in the trades. Tecton Architects and the design team are going to do something similar that will be scheduled for November. So if there's students that are interested in architecture or engineering and not necessarily in the building trades, they'll get a chance to meet with the team as well. And with that, I'll ask if there's any questions.
Tell them the trades is definitely the better way to go, Robert, by the way.
Yeah.
Being on the other side, better to be the guy doing the work than drawing the lines on paper.
Agreed.
Any update on the switchgear?
Yep. So switchgear is still on track. Still on track for shipping in mid-November. We just checked on it last week, so no differences there, no changes. We'll just continue to monitor them a little more weekly as we get closer to that ship date. We have a lot of the sub panels and a lot of the transfer switches, the generator. So we're really just waiting for the main gear and the fire protection gear, fire pump gear to ship at this point. And that's the target date of 11/15.
Perfect. And the DOAS is on schedule for the.
Yep. So DOAS is on schedule. It's kind of moved around about a week. It went from late December, pulled up all the way to mid-November, and now it's back to shipping right after Thanksgiving. So that'll be a fun one. That unit, just a little background, is coming in 7 pieces. It's a large unit broken down into 7 pieces, and 3 of the pieces are still so large that we're gonna have to then take those and break them down into more pieces to be able to get it up to. Basically, it's going up on the floor where I just showed the interior picture from. So where I was pivoting and showing the look downs from, that's where that big large unit goes. We're gonna actually have to bring it into the gym and then actually rig it up and land it on the slab that way versus being able to bring it in and bring it right into the space. What you can't really tell from the picture is that mezzanine space is actually about 4 feet up in the air around the surrounding main A. So no matter which way you bring it in, you got to get it lifted up and up about 4 or 5 feet to get it into the space. And the cleanest way where we have the most access is to come right in through the lower level and just lift it up in the gym. So that'll be a fun one. Take a couple days to get in, but that'll be a big accomplishment for the team.
Great. Any other questions for Robert? With that, turning it over to Adam.
Good evening, everyone. Just a little bit to add to the construction side of things. BVH has been out there as the commissioning agent coordinating a lot of the, whether just small startup works like some of the AVB and some of the pull testing and those types of items. They've been out there looking at those components, and in the packet, there were a number of those reports kind of showing the results of that effort. So, for example, they did some pressurized fog testing. Some of the items that they noted were to be expected. They haven't sealed some of the penetration, so obviously those leaked, but I think there's one detail in there that did need some tightening up. So it's doing exactly what it's supposed to, where you do a detail section once, you see if there's anything that could be tightened up, and then they're able to repeat that throughout the whole building without any issues or delays. So all that testing and coordination is ongoing and working well. The large focus, as I've mentioned the past couple meetings, sort of outside the main construction effort, has been furniture. We did have the last design meeting on furniture on the 16th, working through getting potentially some samples as well as a walkthrough to kind of make sure that what's on paper kind of jives with what they're seeing in the field in terms of spacing and locations and that kind of thing. Similarly, working with the IT department on equipment selection for the network closets, as well as we had a meeting on the playground design, where basically wrapping up the equipment selection and now focusing on some of the finer details, colors and that kind of thing, while also working with town finance on the procurement methodology. A big topic when going through these packages is, do you go out to bid? Do you go out to state contract? And state contract is usually appealing, but in some instances you're sort of tied to what's available. So, for example, some components are too big and they have to be still go out to bid or get a sole source. Other components, there might be a Connecticut state contract or a different contract consortium that can go off of. So, trying to get out ahead of some of those questions, so that way when we go before the state, the town is aligned with what's acceptable for town finance procurement processes, as well as what can yield the right equipment at the right price. So that's a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. I'm looking to have sort of the, I don't want to say kickoff meetings, but sort of the refresher meetings with the various boards in November, just to kind of get everyone up to speed. So looking at having an update for the school building committee on our next meeting, November 4th, kind of laying out the lay of the land of where we're at in terms of equipment and pricing and that kind of thing. And then it looks like the November 12th meeting might work out for Board of Education. I did some preliminary outreach to Dr. Cook. And then similarly, I want to target the November 12th Board of Selectmen meeting. Again, no decisions to be made, just kind of refresh everyone's mind that these votes are coming and what's the substance of these votes. I will say that as you're going through these design exercises, obviously there's always the notion of providing scope that targets budget as best as we can and seeing where there might be efficiencies. And obviously there's always the question about how much escalation has happened since the budget was set, years and years and years ago. It's as a whole, it's looking fairly promising. There's going to be probably a little bit over budget in terms of the aggregate for those packages, but nothing crazy or outside of what's resolvable via contingency. So I'll have more concrete data of that the next time we meet, but overall it's looking like the various stakeholders are doing a good job of making sure that the school's getting what it needs, but it's doing it at a cost conscious way, and kind of aligning the overall expectations of the project from a budget standpoint to what the target is to be procured. So all positive news. And in between this meeting and the next meeting, I'll also share an updated financials with the school building committee, just to kind of see how we're doing on contingency. I wanted to get we talked about it last time, but I wanted to get a little more data on the furniture before publishing that. So there's a couple things coming on at once that should inform that effort, and I'll send it out to the group so everyone has the current latest and greatest before we get to next meeting. That's largely where I'm at with update. Obviously there's procurement and invoices, but happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Moving on to item number 6.
Perfect. So I'll share my screen here. There are technically 3 items up for vote, but there are only 2 PDFs, which should make sense more than another. The first, I'll just put the motion on the screen here, is actually a motion to increase a purchase order for our testing agent. So if you notice in the invoice packet, there are a number of invoices from Tri-State Material Testing. Those invoices would take them over the initial $50,000 allotment that their purchase order was created for. I don't know if you recall from way back when we first signed the purchase order for them. The notion was that you have a budget and you kind of allot various sort of tranches of money to them. So that way, because it's an hourly fee, you don't want it to get sort of away from you as they go through testing, because you can't exactly predict how many tests they'll need throughout the job. So they've met that first $50,000. So this motion here would be to increase it by another $50,000 as they go through and complete the testing. I would say that the quantity of testing that's done is at or maybe even a little less than what might be expected in terms of how much cost is going to them. So it's all positive news. It's just like I said, a budget minding exercise, not to just assign the whole kit and caboodle to them at the beginning of the effort.
And a couple questions, Adam. 2 things. One, I assume you had in the original project budget had that
Yes.
much allocated.
Yes, this would not come from contingency. This is part of the budget that was established for them already.
Yeah, understood. I think you're sharing the wrong screen, by the way.
Oh, can you not see is it?
We see a $2,900 change order.
Oh.
That's what I'm seeing.
Sorry, let me reshare. Yep, that would make sense. How about
That looks correct. Yeah,
Better.
now? There we go. Okay, that makes more sense.
that's risky though. So you might be sharing baby pictures sometimes by mistake. So
That's fine. He's better looking than me. You wouldn't be upset. So we can come back to the draft motion there, but that's what the first motion would be for. The second of 3 items is the ATP 29 this is the 2997 that you were looking at before. This is for a dryer exhaust fan and the electrical feed for that exhaust fan. Tim, jump in if I'm misspeaking here, but effectively when submitting the project, there's a number of potential dryers and configurations that could occur, but you don't exactly know which one's going to be submitted upon. And so the model that was submitted upon required an additional exhaust fan to be able to work for draft and that kind of thing. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, exactly. Due to the distance where the dryer is located due to the distance from the exterior wall where it's venting out. One of the specified dryers needed a booster fan to function properly. So this is the cost associated with adding that fan and the electrical for it.
Any questions on this one before I move on to the next ATP? The next ATP, or the last I should say, is $0, and that is not a change or an add to the contract. It's just Gilbane seeking authorization from the town to use $2,900, $2,974 from the owner's allowance as part of the antenna system that's going and or planned to go in the building. So basically, need to have some testing done now to inform what the design will eventually be. So this ATP is asking for owner permission to go ahead and use that money for the testing component of it. Rob, do you have any other thing to add to that? I saw a shake head no, so.
No, that about sums it up. So this is step one. Once we get the results from the testing, then we figure out if it needs to be boosted and what the potential system would look like.
And just for those that aren't familiar with this type of testing, usually have to wait until the building is established, because doing a test in the middle of a open field is not going to yield the results you need versus when you have walls and bricks and studs and things in the way that'll impact the reception within the building. So that's why this is happening now and didn't occur before the job started.
And again, Adam, this is part of the GMP.
Yes, so no additional cost to the town for approving this. So that sums up the procurement items for tonight, and I've got the motions on the screen now.
Would anyone like to make a motion? I think George might be in his car because I didn't see his.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were driving you.
No, I'm in my panic room here, trying to.
I'll
Not
keep
be
it in.
panicky.
Don't want anyone to know where that is, George.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
For Bishop. Okay, next one. All right. So the first one is motion to increase PO 202-45658 for tri-state materials testing by $50,000 for a new total of $100,000 for ongoing materials and testing services.
Would anyone like to make a second that
Sure,
motion?
I'll second that.
Would you second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Second motion?
Second one is motion to approve ATP 29 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $2,997 for a dryer exhaust fan.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
That.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the last is motion to approve ATP 47 for Gilbane to use $2,974 of owner allowance one for on-site BDA survey testing for local fire and police radio frequencies to support the ultimate design of radio equipment for the new school.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So
All right. I'll
Any-
reshare for the invoice packet.
Yep.
So invoice packet for tonight, in addition to Gilbane's invoice or pay application number 7 for just over 3.8 million. So we're putting a lot of work in the ground, and the invoices go up, so that's a good thing. We've got monthly standard invoices from Colliers and Tecton, as well as BVH's invoice number 17, the final Langen invoice for the soil monitoring to close out their scope of work. 3 invoices from our materials testing agent that we just increased the PO for, and the invoice for the RFP for the testing age services that was put out a month or two ago, for a total of just over 3.9 million.
Is that our largest invoice to date?
Yes.
Oh, good. Getting some momentum. Would you pull up your motion, yep, invoice motion? George,
Will
feeling?
you read this one?
Sure. Up. Go ahead, Sharon.
Sharon, go for it.
Okay,
Sorry.
it doesn't matter. All right, motion
no.
to approve invoice package dated 10/21/24, including invoices from Collier, Tecton, BVH Langen, Tri-State, and Hearst Media in the amount of $83,244.65, and construction pay requisition 7 from Gilbane for the amount of $3,858,236.56 for the total approval of $3,941,481.21.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Anything else, Adam, before we move to the next item?
That's it.
Moving to the next item, public comments? Do we have any public comments?
We have one attendee, Aya. Not sure she's looking to make a comment.
Does she have a hand raised? Raise your hand, Aya, if you'd like to,
She's with Colliers, so
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Don't have a mole spying on us then, I guess. Yeah, okay, closing, any closing remarks from anyone? Seth, you got anything for us?
It's looking fantastic and it's very exciting. So thanks and keep up the great work. Glad to hear it seems to be on track.
We got a good team, that's for sure. Anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Okay, Sharon, second? Woody,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
See you later, guys.
Take care, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.